In the past year, I've gone from doing boring, monotonous work that I hated and that I dreaded getting out of bed for each morning, to doing work that I love and that really truly fulfills me and fires me up. And in this video today, I just want to show you how to do exactly the same with a simple 4-step process that I will share with you by the end of this video. Now, the reason this came to mind for me is because I was on a podcast recently. It's quite a cool milestone because it's the second podcast I've ever been invited to, and I actually have it pulled up here. It's the second one I've ever been invited to, and now I'm on Spotify, so it's quite cool. And shout out to Ryan Lay, founder of the Founder Games, or creator at least. And essentially, the whole podcast was about how to find work that you find meaningful in your life. And that really got me reflecting on the work I do. And the funny thing is that I've been on complete opposite ends of the spectrum of doing meaningful work or work that kind of aligns with what you love and who you are. And I say that because I used to run an agency, which was an SMMA, so a social media marketing agency, where essentially my work each day was to wake up and to run ads for my clients and then spend the rest of my day cold calling. So I would stand here and cold call real estate agents for 8 hours a day. And then after, when I was done at 12 a.m., I would go to bed if I didn't have any more sales calls left to take. And I absolutely hated my work. If you look back on my YouTube channel, that's back when I was bald. I had a buzz cut. And that says a thing or two. I dreaded getting out of bed every day, to say the least, and I had a deep pain to rise above every morning. More recently, however, I've really loved my work because I've been doing something that really ultimately fulfills me, because I've been mentoring people and just helping people, inspiring people. And this still involves building my personal brand on Twitter, and people on there would tell me daily, and I say would because I don't go on there as often anymore. I don't spend as much time on there, but people tell me on the daily essentially that I inspire them and they love what I do, which it's truly, truly incredible to hear, genuinely. But the thing is that back in my agency days, I first didn't sign any clients for 10 months straight, because first of all, I hated the work that I was doing, so I never really got into a proper flow in the beginning. It took me a while to really discipline myself and just really force myself to do the work despite the pain, the mental pain that I would face each day showing up to do the work. And then after 10 months, finally I signed in 18 days, almost 4K worth of clients. So it's a decent amount of money, but then again, because it's not something I was experienced at all, or something I was remotely interested in or good at, I never signed clients for the next few months after that, because I just struggled to get good results for my clients, and I did my best. I did what I could, but the ad managers were blocked or restricted, and I ended up just running myself into the ground. And then more recently, doing this super meaningful work, it was the opposite. I made essentially no money. And it's not actually no money, because I did make a good few $100s, but it's only really a tenth of what I made with my SMMA. And both of those amounts aren't exactly great. Like, they're not really, neither of them have been sustainable amounts that I've been making consistently. And that's the problem. And that's really ultimately made me reflect and realize that in the beginning, The key is not to do work that some guru tells you to do and that you hate, but neither is it to just focus on, your passion, right? And I recently have really believed in finding your purpose. And mine is, for example, to inspire and lead the way for people to find their purpose, and ultimately make money with it. So make money in a fulfilling way, so they no longer have to do, for example, work the 9 to 5 they hate, or just essentially find work that they find meaningful. And I realized that if my purpose is to help people make money in that way, then it only makes sense for me to be making good money myself in the first place. So instead of going off and focusing on this grand vision or, purpose, and purpose is kind of like people see it as a spiritual word, sorry. So that's why it's kind of, it's kind of iffy to use, if you will, and intangible, we'll put it that way for many people. Which is why I've realized that the key is, instead of following trends and what is hot right now, and I'm taking kind of words from this book, The Almanac of Naval, which I read again after kind of coming across this, like wanting to reflect. And I've realized that the key is not to follow trends or what is hot or what gurus say you should do, but rather to follow your intellectual curiosity and your vocation. So something that you can truly master, something where showing up to work each day, it feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. And that's because grinding it's a relic of the past. That's what I did a year ago with my cold calling. I was grinding. But the truth is that if you do something, if you're grinding, then, by definition, you're kind of working super hard because you hate the thing you're doing, right? Whereas if you're working super hard, but you love the thing you're doing, you're not grinding, you're just in flow. There's a difference. So I've essentially found that the key is to find something where you can follow your intellectual curiosity and your vocation, so you can really just ultimately focus on your craft. You no longer care about the money so much, but it will come as a byproduct instead. And the reason is because if you do something that you're not 100% into, then someone who is 100% into that thing will outwork you massively. And that's exactly what Naval has said. So, to help you find this thing, your vocation, or something that you can really pursue and ultimately master, because for me, I've realized the thing is video editing. I am still going to utilize my brand on X. And by the way, I know this may seem ironic that I'm saying it's video editing, considering this video is going up raw and just almost completely unedited. But that's because I'm putting up a quick video today since I'm working on a big project for my trip to Madeira. And I just wanted to share this video with you today. The 4-step process that I would follow is this. First of all, ask yourself. So the first step is self-knowledge, right? You're doing self-discovery. And the reason for that is because Aristotle said, the beginning of all wisdom is knowing yourself. And that's super true. The most important form of knowledge that you could possibly have is self-knowledge, understanding yourself. And within this first step, ultimately just really reflect deeply. Sit down and remove any expectations that you think anyone else might have on you, to answer questions like, what are my curiosities? What gets me into flow? What am I great at, and what are my strengths? What problems have I solved for myself that I could solve for others? Things like this. And in doing so, and there's a fifth one, what are my core values? What do I truly value? And what makes me feel my true authentic self? And the reason is because, as Naval Ravikant said, no one can compete with you on being you. If you want to escape competition, do so through authenticity. So what this means is just be yourself because no one can be you. For example, no one has lived the life that you've lived. No one has the stories that you have, and no one has the exact same qualities and abilities that you have. Now, I'm not saying that talent is all that matters. Absolutely not. But neither is hard work all that matters. The truth is that it's both of these things together that matter. It's about finding your flow and what you are naturally good at or called to do, and then working hard on that thing. Because by then, it doesn't even feel like hard work anymore, it just feels like play. The second thing is determine what is my vision, right? What do I actually want my life to look like in the future? So you have something to work towards. Seneca said, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. And what this means is that if you don't even know what you want your life to look like, if you don't even know what you strive to achieve, then how are you going to get there? If you don't know what something looks like, then how are you going to find it, or achieve it, or live it? You won't. So ask yourself, how do I want my life to look? The third thing is to determine a plan. So your vision is essentially it's a picture in your mind, in your mind's eye, of what you want your life to look like. And the plan is, how will I get there? So if your vision is, for example, I'll give you a basic example of mine, a very shallow example of mine. To provide for my family, retire my parents, live an incredible life, and inspire others to do the same. Right? If that's my vision, then, what's my plan to get there? My plan could be to build a personal brand that will allow me to inspire those people, that will allow me to make the money to provide for my family, and will allow me to have the connections to live the incredible life. Right? So that's what you're going to do to achieve that. And the last and fourth step, that was the fourth step is to determine a system. And this is ultimately what makes this super practical in the end, because the vision is something that, it's not super tangible, not something you can act on immediately, or at least at first it doesn't seem so. So that's why I have the vision, the plan, and the system. And the system is this exact steps you're going to take to get there, right? So I'll give you a super basic example. Your vision is like a goalpost out in the distance, right? The plan is the path to reach that goalpost, and the system, your system, is the exact steps you're going to take to get there and along the path, right? So, for example, if my vision is once again to provide for my family, live an incredible life, and inspire others to do the same and provide for people, and if my plan to achieve that is to build a personal brand that brings me in money through, let's say, a community or a business like the agency that I'm plan on building now, then the steps I will take to get there are, for example, each day filming and editing videos, writing newsletters, reaching out to people, these kind of things, right? So the system, those are habits that you can act on each and every day. Now, to really top this off and make this really the best it could be, I highly recommend doing a monthly and a weekly review. So ultimately, you ask yourself monthly and weekly, what progress have I made? What worked well? What didn't? So what can I change? And what action goals will I set for this month or week? And this will allow you to really reflect and pivot. So this means change anything that you might need to change to enhance your journey, essentially. And that's everything. So I hope that's ultimately helped you. The reason I filmed this video is because I actually wanted to document this part of my journey where I'm making a change and I'm pivoting towards video editing. And I've just had another big realization, but I also wanted to make it practical and valuable for you, which is why I did the 4 steps. Go out there and crush it. And remember that the only thing holding you back from achieving the life you want is you believing that you can achieve it. Go and make it happen. Be mega.